Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark TV. You guys know who I am. I'm Dr. Angela Butts Chester, and you know what I like to do on my show. Say it with me. I want to enlighten, inspire, and empower you to become your best self. Now, scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And that's what we want to do today. We want to get you fired up about my guest. I'll be spending time today with Darren and Shelly Crager, and we'll be talking about their book, Battle in the Bedroom, The Four Stages of Intimacy and Marriage. I know, so get your coffee and get your tea, because we are in for a great conversation. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me today on Daily Spark TV.
Oh, Dr. Angela, it's great to be here. Great to be here.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to talk to you guys more about your book. To be honest, we just haven't had a lot of people on that are talking about a particular stage of our lives that's so important. And that is, how can we make sure that our marriages are the best that they can possibly be? So I can't wait to present. Now, we have a little bit of a tradition around here, and that is a moment to give you to introduce yourselves. We realize there may be some viewers that are unfamiliar with you or unfamiliar with your work. So, first question, tell us a little bit about yourself. What makes you you?
Well, I'm Shelly Crager, and Darren and I have been married for 38 years total. So I am an administrator of a Christian school. I've been an administrator for over 28 years now. And we have co-authored a couple of books, and Darren has also authored several of his own books.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm normally a businessman. I've owned quite a few businesses in three different states. Kind of semi-retired, and just of late, just have been writing books for the last 7 years, and two with my wife.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I remember being at an event and someone said that they were, semi-retired, and someone said, "Don't you want to be, fully retired?" He says, "Oh no, that's when you go over in the corner and you just kind of dry up." He's like, "I still want to, be active and out there and lending my voice to conversation." And I said, "Yes, I think that's the perspective. That's what keeps us happy or kind of healthy, having that interaction with others. I think you guys are onto something there. Now, being an author, I realize that you have co-authored as well as written individually. Is that something that's been on your list of things to do? Did you want to do that as a child, or did you find that it's a way to share your knowledge with the world?
Yeah, as a child, no, we're all about conquering, especially with men and stuff and boys but as you were talking about, the semi-retired part is men have this transition in life, and it's more about significance, and it goes to more helping others. So the latter part of my life, that's what it transitioned to. When I say semi-retired, it's like, yeah, I'm not out there to conquer the business world anymore, but what can I do? What can we do for the world, for our churches, for marriages, for parents, and helping them parenting and stuff? So yeah, it's yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now, in life and stuff. So
Yeah. For me, I don't think authoring has ever been something I had thought about, but Darren and I do a lot of mentoring and coaching. And what we did realize is that we can only reach so many people in person. And so when we can put it into a book, it allows
Yeah.
us to expand our influence.
Yeah.
hmm I find that so many of the authors that I've interviewed, their answer is quite the same. I would say of the maybe 1% of the interviews that I've done, have they actually said, "Oh yes, I've written, since I could." It is amazing how God uses us at various stages of our lives and gives us the desire to do whatever it is that we need to do along our paths. So I love that. I love that. That might be encouraging to someone else too, if they're trying to determine if writing is good for them. Now, the title of your book, Battle in the Bedroom, The Four Stages of Intimacy and Marriage. Love the title. If I was perusing my local bookstore and I saw that, absolutely, I'm judging the book by its cover and I'm gonna thumb through that book and probably put it in my basket. How did you come about the title? Did it come to you first? Did it develop out of the writings? What's the story there?
Mm. So I think a lot of the title came from our personal experiences.
Mm. Yeah.
So being married as many years as we have been, we've gone through the 4 stages, but our early stages, that's how I would have defined our marriage.
Yeah.
There were real battles that were happening. And I think being growing up in the church and both being in the church, I think they were battles nobody wanted to talk about. And so we thought it was isolated to just us. And so I think the title for us is also a way to really communicate to people that there's nothing wrong with your marriage. This is a normal phase within a
Yeah.
marriage, and everybody navigates it.
Yeah.
And so we wanted that title to speak to that and to tear down the walls of making people embarrassed to talk about what God created.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a topic that it's kind of hidden, in the
Mhm.
church. I don't care from what generation to generation, and then also there's this part of within the house itself. When there's battles going on, it's isolated within those walls, and then people put on a mask, a facade, outside the home, and there's just disaster happening in the home. And so we just wanted to have a title that literally, like you said, speaks to you and just
Mhm.
grabs you and said, you know what? There are so many people were, or is in the same shoes as you are, and stuff. So you're not alone. And so we're not scared to talk about this, because this topic about in the bedroom is it battles for the high divorce rate
Mhm.
for years and
Yeah.
years. Either it's about money or sex, or the communication thereof. So that's God has just moved in our lives to have an incredible marriage, and in this area is just things have blossomed as we understood the 4 stages of marriage. That there's also the 4 stages of intimacy, and have appropriate expectations in the stages, and then
Mhm.
encourage and help people understand that there are stages. So you're not at a solid brick wall. That your life and marriage is going to stop. So
Right.
Mhm.
That is so helpful. And the fact that it tells you on the cover that there are 4 stages, that alone I think will be an attention grabber. Now, I usually ask the question, is your book appropriate for someone who's in high school, like 14 or 16? I'm going to kind of change that question just a little
Yeah.
and say, is your book appropriate for someone who is engaged to be
Mhm.
married? Or would you say a little bit further along, is this a part of marriage enrichment?
Actually, I would say all of those
yes,
stages. This
absolutely.
this book has been used. We have a lot of people like in premarital counseling in that we would highly
Mm,
recommend this book for, so that you know what you're entering into and what to expect. Unmet expectations will always create frustration. So if you can go into the marriage kind of knowing that,
mm,
it's also great for any stage within your marriage
mm.
that you're in. We also have we have couples that are even like contemplating divorce, and at
Yes,
that point where it's
absolutely.
like we're ready to end our marriage here, and it's a great tool to help regroup. Now, that's only beneficial if they want to walk through that
Yeah,
process.
yeah, absolutely. So yes, to answer your question, is it uh, age wise? Yes, it's an incredible premarital book, phenomenal premarital book. We've had so many people that have talked to us about it, and commented about it, and it's like, oh, we wish we would have had this when we started our marriage,
Mm,
even when we started having kids, and so on and so forth. So it's for anybody thinking about getting married and is married. And we've had couples comment that have been married for, I think our oldest couple has been married for 61
yeah,
years.
yeah.
61 years. And literally, this couple, oh, just a loving, wonderful couple. Both of them were crying. And he just said, I wish we would have known this
Mm,
decades ago. I could imagine where we would have been, and all the arguments and fights that would have not happened. and we could have just blossomed a lot sooner in our marriage.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that answer. I love that he's a forever learner, that he
Yeah.
wants
We
to
do.
be the best that he can be. That is so encouraging that our
Yeah.
grandparents and great grandparents still want to be that for
Oh,
Yeah.
eternity.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. The book really helps the men see clearly and understand clearly of their role, the expectations, and because the world, Dr. Angela, the world is just vomiting lies and things to destroy the marriage. And if there is one thing that will destroy a man, is his sexual expectations.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
and so if and in this whole book, we're not talking about, men, I'm telling you right now, we're not talking about less sex. We're talking about intimacy on another level, to where actually there's gonna be more intimate times, but quality times, oh, by far. You can speak for the ladies, but
Mhm.
I'm telling you, after guys read this, they're just going, oh, thank you so much. Appreciate this. This has really helped us and helped him understand better.
Yeah. Well, what the book is really designed to do is we only know what we know from our personal
Mhm.
experiences. So women think different than men, men think different than women. And this book really is to delve in to help you understand how is a man thinking, and that's not perverted, it's
Mhm.
not wrong, it's
Yep.
normal,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
healthy. How is a woman thinking? That doesn't mean she doesn't have desires. They're different.
Yep.
And how do you merge those two so that you can have a relationship in which both partners are feeling fulfilled in that.
Yeah, and it's not a man beating book, and it's not a
Mm-mm,
woman beating book.
mm-mm.
It's enlightening both parties. So,
Oh, I love that you said that. I think that so many people are worried about that. I know that I have had at least a handful of folks that have come for pastoral counseling, and that is one of their concerns. You're going to be on her side
Mhm.
because you're a woman.
mhm.
And I say, well, we are all professionally trained. We all equally sat in class and learned. The way that you feel might be, if you go see a man, will he be on your side and not on her side?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So we can't come at it from that perspective, but instead, what is just going to be, best for us as a couple, and how does this line up with the word? So,
yeah,
and
Sure.
then they
Yeah.
go, oh
Absolutely.
yeah. I was like, so yeah, it's not
Yep.
what I'm
yeah,
telling you; it's what does
Yeah.
the word say. So I'm so glad that you
Mhm.
said that
Mhm.
as far as having a point of view or helping us with the barometer of where are we going with that. Now, I want to ask you one last question before we go to break, and that is, I believe that authors write a book in the way in which we should consume it, meaning section one before two, chapter one before chapter two. Is there a best way to consume your information? Should we start with page first through last, or is it reader's choice? They can pick any spot and start
mhm.
from there.
Yeah. I mean, the book is designed in a way that we kind of set the preface in the beginning that applies to everybody, and then we go through each stage.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is you can read it all the way through from cover to end, but you could also look at the stage you're in, because we also know that sitting down and reading, or sometimes referencing back to something in just a moment where you need to read it, to sit and read an entire book isn't always feasible, but
Mhm.
you can really reference just a section. And the titles of our sections clearly dictate what it is that you're going to get in that section.
Yeah. Yeah. It's meant basically to go from front to back cover. The other thing I want to put in is that we made the book very man friendly, because we
Yeah.
know it's mostly women. You're talking about, you were going down the book aisle, you'd be picking up guys. A lot of times don't pick up books.
Mhm.
We made this to be help men be comfortable, but also to attract them. So believe it or not, we put pictures, appropriate,
Yes.
but we have cartoonish,
Cartoon pictures.
cartoon pictures of a scene, that it's we've got a lot of comedy in it too, which needs to
Mhm.
happen. And so we've got a lot of funny scenes and some that are kind of in stressful times and stuff. And we got a lot of bullet point too, little
Mhm.
just simply how to remember certain things. So we made it a very easy but inviting read,
Mhm.
and it's not a gigantic novel, and it's only about 160 pages, which is really good for a man, because you hand a man a book that's this big. When I write some of some of my fiction novels, and I had hand my buddies, "Hey, I just came out with this book," and he goes, "You expect me to read this thing?" So we made it friendly for men and women, and so it's just not, women will read a book, and then expect their husband to read it, and a lot of times he puts it to the side. But if she says, "There's pictures, hon," "Oh, okay, well, maybe I'll get into that book."
Wise, wise, wise. I love it. Well, it is time for us to take a very short break. Now, we know, of course, your book is available on Amazon or wherever books are sold. But if someone wants to reach out to you, follow you online, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, simply it's my pen name, my author name is DL Crager, my Darren Lloyd Crager, but dlcrager.com. So
Mhm.
if you just go to the website www.dlcrager.com, it shows how to get a hold of us, has our email addresses on there, and all the information they need to get a hold of us. So yeah, we'd love to hear from everybody. So.
I love it. Alrighty, everyone. Now you know where you can get a copy of the book. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, I love what the two of you are doing with this book. And we haven't even gotten into the nitty gritty part of it, but it just sounds like something that you would want to share. One of the things that popped into my mind was like a couple's book club. Many times, couples are looking for ways that they can make their marriage better, things that they can do. And this sounds like the perfect book to have for a retreat
Mhm.
or something like that. I love that you have made it available. Now, I want to ask a question, but let me give my handy dandy disclaimer. If you want to know how the story ends, you gotta buy the book. Now, with that being said, is there any chapter in particular or section in particular that you feel is a must for
Mhm.
everyone to read? That there's a nugget of wisdom that you've placed there that applies to most?
Yeah, yeah. When we get into the stages, because it's a battle in the bedroom, the four stages of intimacy in marriage, and we kind of understand that the four stages. First of all, the very simple one, it's the honeymoon stage. Okay, I'm not going to give everything away, but and that speaks for itself. Where most marriages, the majority of marriages, where we start seeing the breakdown and the disasters and the heartaches. Unmet expectation breeds deception, and all
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. What starts right here is when the children start showing up.
Mhm.
And so in the book, we thoroughly go over, when the children come along, and you go over those first 7, 8 years of little kids, and then adding kids, and life becomes chaotic.
Mhm.
Life is all of a sudden these plans that we had, they disappeared and evaporated. And so we just want people to know that, we really dive deep in the area that is one of the most destructive areas, and that's stage two when you have children.
Mhm.
And so a lot of people, a lot of men, this is when all of a sudden we find out, what happened to my wife. You know,
Mhm.
I have taken a back seat to
Mhm.
life.
I'm no longer the
You know,
most important
I'm no longer the
person.
most important person. And but then, but there's this understanding of appropriate expectations, this and that. And this is when disaster happens, this is stage two for a lot of men. And it's very
Mhm.
sad things that happen. But also women need to understand where their man's at, because we discuss a lot of things of, your life priorities. There's relational priorities.
I think one area I would say that I would really highlight for everybody, because this is regardless of even marriages in which maybe you don't have children as well, is we go through a section in there. We are both foodies. We love
Yeah.
food, so we did
Yeah.
a correlation with food, and
Yeah. Yep.
it was kind of going along with that unmet expectation part, because most battles in the bedroom happen because of an unmet
Oh, yeah.
expectation. We're heading to bed, and my expectation is I'm tired and I want to go to sleep, and his might be different than
I've
that.
been dreaming about all day long,
And so how do you manage that? And so it's a communication style that we created ourselves
Yeah.
that revolves around food. And I won't give away all of it except for to say that we've kind of created, like, there's a fast food conversation, there's a fine dining, and really just defining what is the expectation that we're going into, so that I can know what his expectation is, and when I have that dialogue with him, he knows where I'm at in the middle of that, and
Yeah.
how do we meet in a middle ground into where we can both get what we need, but in a healthy
Yeah.
conversation. And it's a conversation that,
Yeah.
to this day, 38 years later, we can joke
Oh,
about and we
yeah.
can have fun with it. And so
But
that's a section I would absolutely say is for everyone.
it's very serious, because when we say this, it's just, honey, is it a fast food night tonight? You know,
Mhm,
or is
mhm,
it fine dining? And it's like, again, the expectations, because we know the fine dining, the 5-course meal, and that's on every man's mind.
mhm,
Okay, all the time. That's not realistic. Come on, men,
yeah,
and just especially for your wife and your spouse, that she's been busy all day. She's got the kids hanging all over her and
mhm,
tired. She's worked too, and then she's got to deal with you too.
yeah,
So, but yes, the men do need to be fulfilled. That is
mhm,
vital,
yeah.
vital.
Yeah. We talk about in the book that for us, part of that battle came from you're basing it on what your needs are.
Mm,
And it was really easy for me as a young mom with kids. And, I mean, I had kids hanging over me all day. I was being touched all day. When he would come home at night, I'm like, I do not want to have one more person touch me. Right. And so when we could have that dialogue and just talk
mhm.
about, is it a fast food night? What that did is it let him know I still care about his needs, but it also cued him into the fact that I'm not in a space right now
Mhm.
to go deeper than that, but I still care about
Yeah,
you.
so it's gonna be a quickie, and be
Mhm,
happy with that. And yes, men, and that's when we do talk about quantity and quality, stuff
mhm,
like that. But it's a thing that has become very valuable. We've used with many couples, of this understanding and expectation. So that's an
mhm.
area,
Yeah, I would say that's
that's
an area everybody should read.
Oh,
area to
I love how you have kind of made it the foodie
read.
scenario. That is a simple way to understand.
Mhm,
Hey, burger. We're
Yeah,
having burgers tonight.
that's
yeah,
right.
Understand that how you need to
yes,
understand it. It's a burger night.
yeah,
So I love that. But at the same time, I think that helps to take the pressure or the
mhm,
personalization of it, the sting of
yeah,
it away
Mhm.
from the other person. That has nothing to do with you. I'm just
yeah,
Yeah.
having a burger kind of
Yes.
day.
yes,
Because
Yes.
it reminds me so much of a similar grading scale, if you will, that I give with my clients. Before
Mhm.
you get off from work, check in with your spouse.
mhm,
Hey, hon, I know you're about to leave work.
Mhm.
How's your day? I know you're about to wrap up. How's
Mhm.
it going? And using your analogy, if that person says it's a burger day,
mhm.
okay,
Yeah.
you
Yep,
Yeah.
I
you
know
know
what
what
to
you're walking
expect.
into. But if
Yeah.
she says, "Oh, we're fine dining, get the white tablecloth,"
Yes.
Mhm,
you're ready to
Got it.
go, and you
Yeah.
mhm,
don't have to be hurt, or feel that the person no longer loves you. It's just the stress and the yuck
mhm,
of the
Yeah.
day. Oh, I love that. I think that's going to be a real aha moment for
mhm,
someone. We
mhm,
also know that unfortunately there are some things that we have to address in marriages that are some of the biggest problems, if you will.
mhm,
Mhm.
Most people, I think, are aware that it's communication, it's sex,
mhm,
and it's money. But there
Mhm.
could be some others as well. Without, of course, giving it all away, what are some of the things that you address in the book when it comes to those top tier problems in a marriage.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's realigning. I tried my best because we both we speak together in the book, then we speak individually,
Mhm.
and I try to do my best to help elevate men uh, to be a man at a higher level, to have better expectations of yourself, but yet to motivate men to be first of all a child of God first and foremost, because if God needs to be our foundation, and so we talk about our foundation, our first relationship,
Mhm.
our spouse, our children, our careers, and other curricular activities. But I really encourage men, to help elevate them and be the best they can, to be the best husband and best father, and stop looking at the moment. Sometimes they take a moment and they make an earthquake. We make an earthquake out of it, and we shouldn't have. It's just stop making a mountain out of a molehill.
Mhm.
So I try to encourage men and to in their areas to be to follow in the steps and actually walk in the shadow of Christ as
Mhm.
men and dive in the Bible and then take some wisdom and experience that I've learned in all these years of how to treat a woman.
I love it. I love it. Well, we're going to go on and claim that right now in the present time. Dr. Shelley and Darren, thank you so much for coming on and spending time with us here today. I think that this particular episode is going to be something that really stirs and shakes people up for this wonderful year that I'm claiming, this wonderful year that
Mhm.
is ahead of us. And this is going to be the difference, that bridge, that thing, that resource, that tool that they have been looking for that's going to
Mhm.
make things better.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for following the prompting that God has given you to be authors and to write this book and to share your wisdom and life lessons along the way with the rest of us. Now, before I let you go, one last time, I want to remind everyone that this book, of course, is available as well as the others on Amazon or wherever books are sold. But if someone wants to reach out to you, what is the best way to do that?
Yeah, it's our website, DL Crager, CRAGER.com. So
Mhm.
DLCrager.com.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you again for being a guest on Daily Spark TV.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
And viewers, thank you for spending time with us here today as well. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to spend it with me today, and I thank you for doing so. As always, may the Lord continue to shine his face upon you. May you receive his grace and his mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Hi, do you have something to share? Be a guest. Visit drangela.chester.com. Thanks again for watching Daily Spark TV.